Hi, I'm Cash, and welcome back to Cash Talks Football, where we're breaking down England against Finland. God, I can't even speak today. There's a couple of little points I'm going to try to make about this. I didn't really want to cover these Nation Leagues games and stuff, but when you see things and you see people talking total nonsense, you've got to call it out, and that's what we do here. And also, we're trying to do some live streams, because one of the things, when I'm trying to break down player analytics and show you things with highlights, it's not always the best. When we're doing it in real time and you can see things, I can point them out as they're happening or before they happen a lot of the times. Well, that's what we're going to try to do on some watch-alongs. But remember, it is old Boom and me trying to figure out how to use OBS and set that up to my YouTube channel. My friend from Canada is going to be giving me a bit of a hand. He's got a little bit of a YouTube channel as well. And we're going to have some little fun and hopefully do a little better of a job doing a live stream than I do when I do these little recordings. But also, right here, Finland should have won this game if it wasn't for their number 14. And there's a couple of little key points here, because he goes on this little mazy run and he doesn't pass it to their only real known striker as Pukki. And he would have finished at least one of these two chances, but they don't show you all the chances, all the other one that it should have been. He just should have laid it out and it would have been an easy goal. But the problem you've got, especially with these England sort of fanboys or reviewing England, is England are not a good team. They're good players, but they're not a good team. And the real difference between good players and a good team is this. And this is what a lot of the people just don't have any idea about whatsoever. So Trent, I watched this game, and Trent was probably the best player on the field by a mile, passing the ball, dictating the play. Every good key passing behind was Trent, but you're playing nobody. So if you're playing nobody and he's under no pressure with the ball, he's able to do these magical things. And he's got skill, he's got talent. Right, but here's the problem you've got. If you've got, you're in the Prem or you're in the Championship and you see your players week in, week out, and you're a manager and you've got a system and you're going to play to that system and you're going to build it and build it and build it and build it and change, great. It's not how it works on the national level. What you've got on the national level is basically a puzzle piece. You've got all these puzzle pieces which are players, right? And then what you do, these players play a certain way. Your job is to push those puzzle pieces together and have everyone playing the kind of the system you want, right? And using those puzzle pieces. You can't change how Saka plays. You can't change how Trent Alexander plays. You don't have them for the time, and immediately as soon as they go back to their club team, they're going to play that way. In the early 80s, early 90s, late 80s, Italy let this philosophy leak to the world of what they did. They would not play a single player on their national team that didn't play in that position for their club. That was it. That's all they were doing. Oh, and they were really good through the 80s and the 90s. Well, that works. What happens if you don't have all those players? Well, you've got to kind of mix and match and try to hope somebody can do that job, but use their sort of attributes maybe to do a bit of this job at the same time. Okay, that makes sense. But when you do something like Trent's doing, this doesn't help England, even though he's by far the best player, because he didn't have anybody to mark. There was no Kylian Mbappe or Antoine Griezmann hiding out on the wing, ready to counter-attack and punish Trent for being over playing as a right winger. Or in this, so that's Grealish up here. He's up here on the edge of the box. Just not getting punished because they're not good enough. They're Finland. I think they're ranked 67th in the world or something ridiculous. They're terrible. So when you're playing a terrible team, you cannot use this as a benchmark to go forward and say, right, this is a good performance or a bad performance, because they're terrible. And yes, you can only play what is in front of you. I totally understand that. But if you're trying to put puzzle pieces together, this isn't a good look. This isn't a way to do it. You don't go, right, this is the system and I need players to fit that system. You kind of go, sit back and go, right, these are the players I've got. What systems work with these? So if I play this system, I've got 80% of the players. But if I play this system, I've got 60% of the players. Well, I've got to play this one because I've got 80% of the players to play this way. Brilliant. And off you go. That's kind of what you have to do. And then what you can do in the younger generations is try to change and transition that through to the way you want to play on a national level. But you can't just have, like, who's this little kiddie Gomez in midfield? If he doesn't start in the Premier League week in, week out, you can't tell me that he's going to start for England. You just can't. As bad as I think Kobe Mainoo is as a defensive midfielder, if someone goes, well, yeah, okay, he starts for Manchester United. I can understand that he's starting for England. Okay, fair one. Yeah, I can take that on board. He's starting for a major Premier League club. He knows the pressure. He knows what's he knows. And the other difference as well is you can go through history and go, oh yeah, but this young kiddie, he didn't start and his name was Michael Owen or Wayne Rooney. It's very, very different when you're a goal scorer. Very different. A lot of them didn't start for England. They came off on the bench, and they make a difference because they've got pace, and that's what young strikers generally do. They score early, lots of goals young and early because they've got pace. But when you're playing in a key role in defensive midfield, the problem that England had throughout this game is, I think that little Gomez kid, he had so many touches but didn't do anything with the ball. It was always backwards and sideways. He's not dictating the play. Who you'd really want on the ball there would probably be Declan Rice, who's probably going to be the one that's going to be on the ball in the future. So if you don't have him on the ball now, and you've wasted a whole game of him trying to play with players with the puzzle pieces that you're trying to fix against the lowly opposition, it's a complete and utter wasted opportunity. This should have been a 7-0 game if he knew what he was doing and he was trying to build properly for the future. But that's enough of rambling right now. Let's get on to something that I want to show you, which is this little counter-attack going on here and why they should have scored. So here's the through ball that he's looking to play. This is what he needs to be doing. That's where the ball needs to be going, straight through the little channel, and off he goes for a 1v1. There was a worse one later on where he was on his own. The defender was further back here, and he still didn't play him. He still tried to run through and score on his own. After doing, because I was renowned for doing this when I was playing, I'd go on a long busting run, get into the box, and then go to strike it and miss it. And everyone was always asking, because they couldn't understand. They weren't. This is a lower level. They weren't. I wasn't properly up there yet. And then what they would ask was questions. Oh, but you're the fittest player on the team. Why can't you do that? Well, because I'm knackered. I've just run 65 yards flat out. And then when I'm going to take the composure and striking the ball, it's so much easier for me to lay it off and have somebody else that didn't really run as fast and as hard as I did fighting off players who can just compose themselves and slot it into the goal. And that's why you make that pass. That's the reason, because if you're good enough to make that long busting run and smash it in the goal, you're Eden Hazard at his prime, or Cristiano Ronaldo in his prime, or Gareth Bale. I was going to say Christian Bale. I am Batman. By the way, that's the other thing you'll find out if you tune into our live streams, because I do have a wicked sense of humour. You can have way more fun when I'm just relaxed, calm, and talking about a game of football. But that should have been a simple 1-0 there to England, but it wasn't. But let's just move it on. I do want to comment on this as well, because this is important, right? So this is Saka. Good player, but not for England, right? It's really strange because his skill set doesn't get utilised with the way that England play. So he just generally looks like a player stood out there. He doesn't really lose the ball. He doesn't really beat anyone. Every now and again, he comes inside and scores a wonder goal like he did in the Euros, but it's only every now and again. It's not consistent. But this is the interesting move right here. And you'll see this in the Premier League as well. So when they're defending with so many players up close to the ball here, obviously the weakness is on the blind side, on the back side. And there's two ways of getting that. You can go through the team, or you can go over the team. If you play that little cute ball over the team, now it's very, very difficult to play that ball, because remember, what you're actually doing is you're playing a curved ball, a curved pass towards the goalkeeper. So chances are the keeper's going to grab it. So it's got to be really, really good. This isn't a bad effort. But you're better off putting in 3 balls like this than you are trying to pass it around here, because they've got... The reason you're passing it around out here is because you've got all the space in the world. They're not going to come out and pressure you. So the point of moving that ball out there it's a waste of time. They're still going to be there. So you kind of just want to go over the top of them, which he does here. And I don't think Kane's offside on this goal, to be honest. I'll show you why in a second. But those little balls are dangerous, because all it needs is a little touch. Someone comes that flight of that ball and it's in the goal, because they're not coming out of their box. They're not going to pressure you when you play it around or keep possession. Yeah. So these are the types of passes that you really, really need to use. And they have in the Premier League. Watch my Cash Talks Football in the Premier League for all of that stuff. Let me show you why I don't think it was offside. Okay, see, that looks like it's onside to me, or close. Like, it really does. I know the camera angle's a bit weird, but yeah. And this is the other thing that I get frustrated with, is they don't put the lines down, so you can't really see. Yeah, not happy about that. But let's get on to the next clip. I do want to show you this because it's a quality pass by Trent. He's just in acres of space, look, and all he wants to do is clip that ball, bosh, brilliantly over the top, perfectly weighted on. I think it's Saka's run. And that actually, if I was coaching England, I'd probably put Saka on the left just to make him think, because he's so comfortable on that right hand side for Arsenal, and he doesn't have the same setup. I think he might do more damage on that side. I really do. Yeah, and then I could have like Eze or somebody on that left hand side. I'd change it just a bit. 5 games, see what happens, boys. Just because, yeah. But just wanted to highlight that Trent pass. Disappointed in the highlights because I really can't find one to show you. So Trent steps in to create this goal. What happens is they knock the ball down the line. That number 14 that I said cost Finland the game, he doesn't go back with Trent. So Trent just intercepts this ball and knocks it straight through to Kane. Now also the aerial view was much better because you could see the diagonal through ball much clearer than here. And then Kane just runs and smashes it into the net box. But if that number 14 comes back or passes the ball, what happens is if he comes back, Trent doesn't get an easy run on this. Trent does have the quality to fight him off and put it through, yeah. But when you don't do something, we're blaming you. If you try, well, we're not going to, yeah, he just beat you, fine. But you didn't do it. Do your job. Stop Trent making that pass, making it so easy. And all of a sudden, it's not 1-0 because you already scored the other end if you didn't do the stupid thing. Now you didn't do this. And now, you know what? The game's balance is going to completely change by one player being stupid. So all of a sudden, Trent puts in a worldie. And as well, they've cut this part out that I can't show you because when I was watching it live, they had a great clip I was going to show you here. One of the reasons I was doing it is because 3 defenders got caught out with Harry Kane's just little cut inside. That means 3 people were doing the same job. And no one was smart enough to go, hold on a second, there's 2 of you pressuring the ball. Maybe I just don't, and I don't come out of this space a bit. Maybe I just pump the brakes a second. And then Kane just does what he does. Rifles it into the net box. Bush. He's got this weird thing actually on one of the misses I noticed. He doesn't necessarily look at the goal. If he did a little head bob and looked up a little bit more, he might score some, I know it sounds silly, more goals. Because there's a number of times he had shots in that game and he's hit it straight at the keeper because he hasn't had a little shifty look. And he hasn't looked before he's touched the ball. He trusted in his ability to find the back of the net, which I can respect. But also I'm like, oh, well done, mate. If you have a little bit of a shifty look, you would have had a hat-trick in that game. Let's get on to the next. I think this is Madawaki that came on, and Eze on the other side. See, Madawaki for me made a. I can't even say his name properly. Yeah, I mean, no, give me a break. But he makes a difference other than Saka. Saka is so robotic in his movements and what he does because he does it so well for Arsenal, and all the players around him compliment him and does what he does. He doesn't really have a game plan at Chelsea. It's like, oh my God, I'm playing this week and I'm not on, I don't know, I'm not in the bomb squad or something else stupid. I am going to do a full breakdown on Chelsea on a live stream and explain to actually what's going on from a real footballing and an investment point of view so you can understand it. Doesn't mean it's right about it's going to make a championship team, but I'm going to tell you about their plan from what I can see from the outside of what it can and, you know, what the future is going to hold and how it goes forward. But there's a lot of information in it. That's why I'll do it on a live stream and go through and talk for a very long time because people really don't understand football. They don't understand cycles in football. I've been coaching this for years. I know what I'm talking about. I've seen cycles come and go. I know how they appear. I know how to make them happen. I can create them inside of clubs because I've done that. So you have to sort of understand that to see and realise what Chelsea's doing. A lot of people don't, like these Sky Sports pundits or Talk Sports muppets. They don't know. All they're doing is reacting to because, oh, you got to win this week. What about challenging for the Premier League this year? Well, you're not going to because it's Man City and Arsenal. What are you talking about? So you can't try to buy a squad to compete with Man City and Arsenal. You have to try to create that in the aggregate. And then when their cycle disappears, your cycle rises. That's what you have to do. Because you can't buy all their players because they've got all the best players. And I'll talk about that, about how the best player cycles go and how that age groups transitions. So you can have a really good understanding and you can use that, you know, well, you'll see it for the rest of your lives. But as we're talking about this little ball drop back here, and this is the difference. He's coming in to collect the ball, and even though Saka does, he's coming a little bit deeper. And Saka was kind of like, oh, well, they're not good enough, so I don't have to. Yeah, but the extra space created here is what creates this goal. And you can see how deep they are. You can see there's no pressure on Trent Alexander-Arnold to play this pass. That's why he looks so good. So when this ball comes in, look, Bosch, it's so easy, so easy. In his little run comes... yeah, he's got to come across, and it's just such a little simple goal. It's a pretty goal because they've basically been caught out because if you go back here, two people are here, and there's no one covering the space. The space is dangerous, not the ball. The ball can't go in the goal from here. The space is the dangerous thing. That's what you need to be cutting out, and they don't. So when you get to this situation here, because of that open space, now it's just about Look, if he was a real world-class player, a Premier League player, like, okay, not a Championship level. If this guy was a Premier League player, he's just going in and burying that. He's scoring that himself. But he doesn't. He takes a little touch, dosh, outside the foot, right in the pass, and Kane puts it in the corner. If he was Premier League quality, I think, because he did have a couple of opportunities when he came on, which aren't in the highlights, which he didn't even take. What he did, it's very similar to this situation here. If I could just clip him and move him back to there, and there was that much space for him to score, he tries to put it across, but he's got no foot to just put it into the corner of the net box there. There's a couple of opportunities that he really could have, but he didn't. Other than that, I can ramble on forever because here's the old football. I hope to see you on the live stream. If not, give us a like and subscribe. And see you next time on Cash Talks Football.